Investigators are learning more about the man who tried to assassinate former President Trump yesterday. Police arrested him shortly after a Secret Service agent spotted the muzzle of a rifle in some shrubs aimed at Trump.
It was the second assassination attempt on Trump in just 9 weeks. Dale Hurd brings us this look at what we know so far.
58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh, the alleged gunman who authorities said targeted former President Trump, was a former roofing contractor from Greensboro, North Carolina, but had moved to Hawaii. He is reported to have donated exclusively to Democratic candidates and causes as far back as 2019, but apparently was a Trump supporter in 2016 before turning against him. Routh posted on social media that Trump's campaign should be called Make Americans Slaves Again. Routh, who has no military experience, was interviewed in 2022 by Newsweek about his strong support for Ukraine in its war against Russia, a cause he was heavily involved with and concerned about.
This conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil.
Routh said he was willing to fight and die in Ukraine and told the New York Times in 2023 that he had traveled to Ukraine and wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers to fight there. Police said Routh had positioned himself behind a fence at Trump International Golf Club and had an AK-47 rifle with scope and body armor along with 2 backpacks and a GoPro camera. He was between 300 and 500 yards from the former president and appeared to be aiming a gun near him.
An agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off.
Routh fled in his car but was caught in a neighboring county. Former President Trump issued a statement saying, "My resolve is only stronger after another attempt on my life. I will never slow down. I will never give up." President Biden issued a statement saying there is no place for political violence or for any violence ever in our country, and promising to give the Secret Service every resource it needs to protect the former president. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, it's the rhetoric, I think, that's causing all of this. When you look at what is currently campaign rhetoric trying to drive votes, and you say a particular candidate is the greatest threat to democracy in the history of the American people, is it any wonder that you get this kind of reaction, that people are taking out these weapons and trying to shoot? The weaponization, both of the campaign rhetoric and the legal apparatus in our nation, it has absolutely staggered me as to what we've become. If you're listening to people saying, I'm going to leave the United States if so-and-so gets elected, you know, I've heard that for a while. I remember when Ronald Reagan got elected, that was the rhetoric, and people were saying, I'm going to go to New Zealand to raise sheep. No, you're not, and stop this kind of language, because this is the result. This is what we're seeing. I'm praying, can this election please happen quickly? Can we move on? But in that moving on, can we find a place where we can actually come together and once again be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? We've seen how the Constitution is very strong. We've seen it in Trump's first term in office. We've seen these things. Let's rely on that. Our republic will still stand.